Ladies and gentlemen, the 2025 Formula One season has officially begun in Melbourne, Australia. Back to Australia, baby. That's exactly what we wanted to start off with a new season. And you know what? It was absolutely chaotic and there's so much mayhem. People were crashing, sliding into walls. It was fantastic to watch. Not to mention, we have 6 rookies on the grid this year. And this was the race of the rookies crashing out. Not to mention Ferrari trying to sabotage themselves again. And we had a 3-team podium finish with McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes. What a way to start off the season. Before the race even started, Isaac Hadjar crashed. He crashed on the formation lap, absolutely slipped and hit the barriers. He couldn't even get to the starting grid. That's a brutal way to start your Formula One career. But you know what? Welcome to Formula One. And honestly, that was just a preview of what was to come. The rain was relentless, visibility was next to nothing, and Melbourne was about to claim even more victims. So let's get into the rookie wipeout. The people that actually did not make it out as rookies. Gabriel Bortoleto, Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson. Now let's talk about the rookie class. 6 new drivers stepped up to the plate, and you know what? 4 of them crashed on the first race of the season. The only 2 survivors, Kimi Antonelli and Oliver Bearman. They're the only 2 that made it out, and one of them performed much better than the other. Kimi Antonelli, the 18-year-old who races for Mercedes, got 4th place. He got a 4th place finish for Mercedes as a rookie in the rain. That says a lot because the other 2 drivers that crashed are Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz, 2 of which are extremely great drivers. So the fact that Kimi in a Mercedes car was able to get there speaks a lot of words for him. So good job, Kimi. Oliver Bearman, on the other hand, he crashed a lot in FP1, FP2, maybe even FP3. I'm forgetting which ones. And qualifying. But the race, he actually did well, surprisingly, in the rain, right? But on dry, he eventually just crashes into everything he can. Ferrari struggles again. Now, what are these struggles? Strategy struggles. They got 2 great drivers, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. And you know what? They can't drive without the strategy team talking in their ear. Because you know what? The strategy people are actually better drivers than Lewis Hamilton, believe it or not. They keep telling him what to do. K1 available, K1 available. He knows. Lewis Hamilton knows exactly what he has to do. Charles Leclerc knows exactly what he has to do. All they need is help to know when to pit, what the strategies of the other teams are, and when the weather's coming in. Don't tell them how to drive. That's what's leading Ferrari down a slippery slope. And that's what happened last year, the year before. And you know what? History repeats itself. It's happening again. But if you look at the absolute captions of what they're saying, it sounds so dumb. They're literally trying to teach the world-class professionals how to drive a car. Come on, Ferrari. I love you, but you gotta let them drive. All right, let's talk about Oscar Piastri now. The Australian in his hometown Grand Prix of Australia. The crowd was going nuts for this kid. They wanted him to perform. They wanted him to be number 1. They were all rooting for him. I was rooting for him. As you can see, I'm a McLaren fan. I got Lando on the back. Anyways, Oscar Piastri, fantastic performance until he slipped and beached himself in the grass. I don't know how miraculously he got out of the grass, which is fantastic, but that meant he was 1 lap behind of everyone else, and he had to immediately put on some different tires. So he was chasing Lando Norris for the 1st place position of Australia, which would have been absolutely nuts in Melbourne. People would be cheering him on. He'd be partying so long. But that was not the case. Unfortunately, he slipped, essentially where Lando slipped, it looked like, as far as my recollection of memory. Slipped, and he basically went all the way down to the end of the grid. But he clawed his way back. He clawed his way back from, I believe, almost last or dead last into 9th position, where he was able to pass Lewis Hamilton within the last 2-3 laps of the race, claiming 2 more points for McLaren, which is fantastic. Now, if you look at the standings, Mercedes and McLaren are both tied for the number 1 seed, Red Bull is number 2, and someone else is number 3. I'm not sure. But McLaren and Mercedes are tied for the number 1 spot after the first race of the season, with both having 27 points. Great job by both teams. Really surprised with Mercedes because George Russell, I'm not really surprised with. He's a really great driver. But Kimi Antonelli, that was a fantastic performance by a rookie. And yeah, he kicked ass. It was great. McLaren could have honestly been way ahead of the pack if Oscar did not slip out and beach himself for a full lap. If that didn't happen, McLaren would be sky high on the list after the first race of the season. Max Verstappen did a fantastic job. There's not much he could really do because he was behind a McLaren, which were clearly just a faster car. They just had way more pace than his Red Bull at the start of the season. I guess we're going to have to find out with China round 2, which is actually this upcoming week. It would be March 21st, March 20th, 21st to like the 23rd, something like that. The next 3 races, Australia, China, and Japan, it will really dictate where each cars are in the standings and what the pacing is, and really formulate a good structure for the Constructors' Championship, at least to the mid-year, until more teams start getting more upgrades. But right now, it's really looking like McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes are going to be the top 3 teams. I really think Ferrari can be there if they just don't have their strategy talking to them and telling them how to drive the car. Oscar Piastri, he recovered really well, which is very surprising. Fell from P2 to P9, essentially claiming 2 points for the McLaren team, tied with Mercedes. But yeah, I'm very excited for this year. I think it's going to be fantastic. And yeah, let's see how China goes. All right, guys. Comment down below what your thoughts are on the first race of the year, Australia. And please leave a like. Thank you.